We are used to seeing South America as an almost entirely Latin-speaking continent with Spanish and Portuguese dominating as official languages. However, with some small tweaks of history, large swaths could have been speaking Dutch. One example is Brazil, which briefly was in Dutch hands mid-17th century. But not many are aware that the Dutch also could have taken the entire southern quarter of the length of South America, introducing the Republic of Patagonia. The alternate country of Dutch Patagonia is the result of a different outcome to a historic event that took place in 1643. The death by disease of Dutch explorer Admiral Hendrik Brouwer. Sometime before that, the Dutch had just successfully made a bridgehead on the west coast of the South American continent, being equipped in Dutch Brazil. Lured by reports of silver and even gold in heaps, they had successfully captured the island of Chiloé from the Spanish. To achieve this, Brouwer had negotiated with the Mapuche natives to secure their cooperation. His aim was to create a settlement on the ruins of the Spanish city of Valdivia on the mainland. Valdivia had been abandoned earlier during uprisings of the Mapuche and other native tribes. After Brouwer had died in our own timeline, he was succeeded by General Elias Herkmans. Herkmans screwed up things so badly that it resulted in conflicts with the Mapuche and mutiny among his own men. Worried by the news of an approaching fleet of Spanish detractors, Herkmans decided to desert the Dutch settlement, which was then eventually destroyed by the Spanish. In this alternate timeline, the settlement persists. The now surviving Brouwer kept his men in check and smoothed things over with the Mapuche, resulting in a partnership lasting for centuries. He stands his ground against the Spanish and effectively manages to defend the settlements. In our own timeline, Herkmans was planning to either force the locals to work in the mines or import 1,000 African slaves. Brouwer, on the other hand, would perhaps follow the model of the colonial Spanish instead. Whereas African slaves were mainly used for plantations in warmer regions, mining often partly relied on coerced labor by indigenous peoples. The Dutch themselves would probably not be able to use too much coercion, however, to not upset the strategic alliance with the Mapuche. This power balance would gradually shift over time. Intended to be a base for access to the Pacific and its coast on the Americas, the settlement initially grew steadily. There was some influx of immigrants from the Dutch Republic for mining activities, but also for doing farming, in a similar way to the Cape Colony in southern Africa. Over the following centuries, the Mapuche started spreading east of the Andes onto the Pampas, while assimilating the local natives of Patagonia, like they also did in our own timeline. In the ensuing conflicts with the colonial Spanish, they called upon the support from the Dutch administrators, who were quick to expand control of the rest of the southern cone. After a number of successive wars, the border between the Dutch Mapuche lands and the colonial Spanish was settled to be the Itata River west of the Andes and the Colorado River to the east. Being of relatively limited economic interest, immigration to Patagonia was very small during the 18th century. Some mining and trading activity continued, but for the most part the area was left on its own. That changed during the 19th century. The newly established Kingdom of the Netherlands needed to recover from the costly aftermath of the Belgian Revolt. Like with the Dutch East Indies, the exploitation of the colony of Patagonia intensified, being here focused mostly on mining. At the same time, there was an influx of Dutch settlers and farmers in a new fervor to colonize what started to become regarded as a new Dutch homeland. Like with Argentina in our own timeline, immigration continued over time from different European nations, as well as some Boers from South Africa. This put the Dutch administrators at odds with the indigenous Mapuche, and many years of bloody conflict ensued. During the early 20th century, however, the Dutch administration softened a bit. Like in our own timeline, ever since the Netherlands became a democracy, public outcry over colonial policies drove the government to become more benign. This resulted in the so-called Dutch ethical policy. In the Dutch East Indies, this meant investment in development of agriculture, education and financial institutions, laying the groundwork for the modern state of Indonesia. For Patagonia, in our alternate timeline, this meant land deals being settled for the Mapuche and other indigenous peoples who were left in charge of their own territories. However, this angered many local Dutch colonists who saw their privileges infringed upon. So while the Netherlands was occupied during the Second World War, they used this as an opportunity to declare the Republic of Patagonia. The official flag is basically an upside-down version of the original flag of the Dutch Republic, but with the orange field lowest. This was done as a symbol of defiance to the Dutch throne, the House of Orange, at the 1941 Declaration of Independence. After a few decades of oppression and conflict, the Mapuche and other indigenous peoples were granted their rights again, and their languages were officially recognized. At the turn of the second millennium, the Republic of Patagonia has about 6 million inhabitants and is in some ways comparable to New Zealand. Around 3/4 of the population is of European or mixed ancestry, and the rest predominantly indigenous, inhabiting their own regions where they can practice their own language and traditions. To honor the indigenous peoples, the ancestral Mapuche symbol of the 8-pointed star was later added to the flag. The capital, called Brouwer's Haven, is located on the west coast and grew out of the original settlement that replaced Valdivia. The economy is largely based on mining, as well as petroleum and natural gas extraction. Next come fishing, sheep ranching and agriculture, with the latter being concentrated in the north. The Republic of Patagonia also has the stake in Antarctica that in our timeline befell Argentina and Chile. If you liked this alternate country video, please leave a like and let me know with a comment. Then I will try to make more videos of alternate countries. Also, feel free to post your own suggestions in the comment section below. For now, bye bye.